The galaxy did not sleep that night. All screens across the stars turned on by force. Even systems that were dark, uninhabited, or hidden behind asteroid belts received the signal. One moment, people were living their normal lives. The next, everything stopped. A logo appeared, the emblem of the Galactic Council. Cold, silver, spinning slowly then, a voice, calm, male, emotionless. This is the will of the Council. What you are about to see is justice. The camera showed a planet from orbit. Small, green, and glowing with cities. The view zoomed in fast down to the surface, past the clouds, through a force shield, and into a square filled with people. Humans, they were on their knees, their hands tied, faces dirty. Eyes full of fear, there were children among them. Old men, young women, soldiers with broken armor. They were not from Earth. They were from a colony, a human colony on the edge of Council space. A peaceful place. One that had asked for protection. One that trusted the Council. Now they were going to die. Robotic guards marched behind them. Their metal feet slammed the ground like war drums. The square was surrounded by alien ships. Some belonged to the Council. Some were from member worlds. This was not a secret mission. This was a message. A large alien stepped onto a platform above the humans. His skin was red and dry like stone. His voice was thick and deep. These people violated the peace. They built weapons without permission. They traded with outlaws. They rejected the Council's law. The price for rebellion is death. He turned and looked at the camera. And let this be a warning. All who betray the Council shall suffer the same. The order was given, and in the next second, the executions began. The feed showed everything. Laser shots, screams, smoke, blood on the floor. One child tried to run. A robot caught her and pulled her back. No mercy. The screen flickered once, but the broadcast continued. Some tried to look away, and he couldn't. Across the stars, in every species' home, people sat in silence. They watched as humans died. Not in war, not in self-defense, but as a show. On a mining station near the Nabari Belt, a Zern pilot whispered, they showed this. On purpose? On a peaceful moon in the Zalar system, a child asked, Mom, why? Are they killing them? On a council ship, a young officer turned pale and ran out to vomit. Even those who hated humans felt something twist in their chest, but the Council did not care. They wanted fear. They got silence, and somewhere deep in the Sol system, Earth received the signal. A room full of generals watched without a word. The lights were dim. Only the screen glowed. A woman in uniform slowly stood up. Her jaw clenched, her fingers curled into fists. The others stared at the ending. At the smoking square. At the bodies. One general asked in a quiet voice, Is this confirmed real-time? A man near the console nodded. Yes, sir. Broadcasted everywhere. No encryption. They wanted us to see. Nobody spoke for a long moment. Then the screen went black. Another voice said, Do we respond? There was silence, until the woman general, Risa Miles, said, Not yet. The room looked at her. Let them think Earth is weak, she said. Let them believe we'll stay quiet. Let them believe we fear them. Her voice was calm, controlled, but her eyes burned. She turned to the wall and typed a code. A file opened. It showed a single name. Project Revenant Protocol. Level black. She pressed activate. Then she turned back and said only 4 words. Bring them back online. Far away, on Mars, deep underground, old systems powered up. Lights flickered on inside abandoned bunkers. Defense satellites hidden inside Phobos came to life. In the cold shadows of the solar system, silent warships drifted for decades forgotten by most. Now, they were waking up. The humans had not forgotten. They had just been waiting. Back on Earth, news of the broadcast spread like fire. People cried, protested, demanded answers, but Earth's government said nothing. No speeches. No warnings, no anger, just silence. Other species thought humans were in shock. They were wrong. Humans were preparing. On a spaceport near Europa, a freighter captain received an encrypted message. He opened it. Only 2 words appeared. It begins. He stood up and walked away. 10 minutes later, his ship exploded, taking 2 council agents with it. On an abandoned station orbiting Saturn, a small group of human engineers entered a sealed vault. They opened a crate marked for Earth's darkest hour only. Inside was something not even the council knew existed. The lead engineer smiled. It's time. At the same moment, on a far-off council surveillance base, 2 alien technicians were watching old files. Suddenly, new signal appeared on their screen. Encrypted. Origin. They tried to block it. They failed. The message played itself. The voice was not robotic. It was human, and it was cold. You made this public now, so will we. The lights in their control room turned red. Every camera feed on the station turned. Every screen blinked, and then footage started playing. Not from the council, but from humans. They showed the colony before the attack. Peaceful cities, families laughing, scientists working, children in school. They showed the moment. Council soldiers landed. Then they showed what happened before the broadcast, the real story. The setup, the lies, the weapons planted by council agents. The staged rebel attack. The truth. Then the screen went black again, and another voice, this time not calm, not cold, but filled with fury. A child's voice. One of the executed girls. Her recorded voice echoed, "We trusted you." The entire galaxy heard it. Billions of beings stopped what they were doing. The signal spread faster than anything before. From one end of the galaxy to the other, species whispered the same thing. Earth knows. And then they asked the question no one wanted to hear. What will the humans do now? Inside the council chamber, the high command gathered. Over 20 species stood around the main table. They argued, shouted, blamed each other. This was supposed to be controlled? They were warned. Why show it live? Who authorized this? They're just humans. What can they do? It's one of them, a tall creature with glowing eyes, spoke up. You don't understand humans. The others turned to him. He continued. They do not rage like us. They do not strike first. But when they do respond, they end wars. The room went quiet. He looked at the screen. The black screen. The one that had just broadcast a child's voice to the entire galaxy. They will not forget, and they will not forgive. On Earth, Risa Miles stood on a platform facing a massive hangar. Before her were rows of soldiers, men and women in black armor. No flags, no names, no ranks. These were the Silent Guard. The ones trained for war the galaxy had never seen. She raised her voice. Today we do not march for revenge. We march for truth. The soldiers stayed silent. They showed the galaxy our dead. We will show them our resolve. She paused. They sent death in daylight. We will bring judgment in darkness. A long silence followed. Then she spoke the final order. Begin the operation. Stars blinked. A dozen human ships, cloaked and silent, left the solar system. They were not labeled. They carried no nations. They were the answer. And somewhere in the void, drifting quietly near the edge of council space, a probe activated. It carried a final message. Short, direct, sent in every language. To the council, you made your choice. Now we make ours. Earth, the galaxy held its breath. The council tried to erase the message. Too late. It had already spread. It was already saved, and the humans had already moved. The stars had not seen Earth move for years. Earth had stayed quiet, calm, neutral. The galaxy believed humans were hiding, that they had accepted fear, that they were broken after the broadcast. But Earth was not hiding. Earth was calculating in. Secret places, deep underground, beneath oceans and moons, behind asteroid belts and radiation fields. Earth had prepared not for revenge, for a reckoning. Risa Miles stood inside a control center under Antarctica. The ice above was miles thick. Satellites couldn't see this place. Not even Earth's own citizens knew it existed. Before her stood 12 men and women. Some were military. Some were scientists. One was once a criminal. All were experts in one thing: total war. She pointed to the star map. The council thinks we are afraid, that we will beg, that we will stay still. They've forgotten who we are. She looked around the room. They murdered children on camera. They broadcasted it. They showed the stars our pain. Now, it's time we show them something in return. She pressed a button. A new map lit up. Dozens of red dots appeared across the galaxy. Council weak points, trade routes, secret prisons. Outposts without full protection. Each will be tested, one by one. No one in the room asked how. They already knew the humans had built something. Not one thing, but many things. Not allowed by council law. Things hidden. Never admitted ships with silent drives. Weapons that used neutron collapse. Artificial gravity bombs. Mirror field armor. War eyes that had never spoken a word, till now. And then there was Protocol REVN. No one spoke its name, only the code name. The room went quiet. Across the solar system, operations began. On Jupiter's moon Ganymede, miners received an old message, code Nightfall. They dropped their tools, opened a hatch in the mountain wall, and entered a sealed chamber inside. A battleship older than most wars. No name, just a number. No. RIT's engine powered up after 78 years. Spoke for the first time in decades. Target confirmation required. On Venus, inside the toxic atmosphere, a platform rose from lava vents. It had not been touched in over a century. Inside were 10 drones. Black, round, floating. Each could destroy. A cruiser without touching it. They did not launch. Not yet. They waited because humans did not strike first. They struck last. Elsewhere in the galaxy, the council continued business. They laughed behind their closed walls. Humans always talk, one said. They never act. They're emotional, it's weak, said another. The broadcast was necessary. It showed control. They will forget. But some knew better. Some species watched Earth silence with fear, and then the silence broke. The edge of council space. A cargo ship blinked out of hyperspace. It was old, rusty. Human-made council security scanned it. Identify. No response. They hailed it again. Still silence, so they fired a warning shot. The cargo ship didn't. Dodged it, absorbed the hit. Then it vanished. Cloak activated, and from behind. 3 black ships emerged, fast, thin, ghost-like. Before the council patrol could react, their systems crashed. Their engines died. Their weapons failed. 1 second later, they were gone. No explosion, just silence. The council sent scouts. They found only debris and one small object floating. A metal box. Inside, a screen, a recording played, a human voice, cold, calm. That was a test. Next, we don't test. The council tried to stop the message, tried to hide it, but it was too late. The galaxy was watching now, and the galaxy was remembering. On a station near the planet Orvis 9, a group of neutral scientists argued. They cannot be serious, said one alien. They are, said another. But they don't have enough power to fight the council, said a third. Maybe not alone, a fourth replied. But what if they aren't alone? Indeed, humans were not alone. The truth had spread. The footage shown by the council and the secret files revealed by humans were not the same. The human files showed how the colony had been peaceful, how it had asked for help, how council agents had created lies to justify killing them. Now other species began to wonder how many others were silenced, and slowly, some began to whisper, maybe Earth is right. Inside Earth's command center, a new report came in, sir. The Telleri fleet is pulling back from our border. Risa nodded. Good, they don't want to be in the crossfire. Another officer spoke. The Zorthan outpost requested contact. Quiet channel. She raised an eyebrow. Zorthans were council allies, but they were also traitors. They followed power. She answered the call herself. A face appeared, blue skin, for eyes, nervous expression. "We watched the footage," the alien said. "The girl's voice? The child? That wasn't fake?" "No," Risa said. "She was real. They all were." The alien looked down. Then he said, "We won't fight you," and ended the call. Risa smiled. "Small, cold, good," she whispered. "That's one less system to burn." But not everyone stayed silent. Inside the council, panic grew. What are they planning? They are activating weapons we've never seen. This isn't defense.
Oh.
This is war. And someone asked the real question, did we push them too far? No one answered, because deep down, they already knew. In the shadows, something else moved. A group of humans dressed in civilian clothes entered a council trade hub. They were not soldiers. They didn't need to be. They planted small devices across the city. When they left, the devices stayed hidden until 24 hours later, when all lights in the city died. No explosions, just silence, and a new message on every screen. "We know where you are. We know what you did. We don't forget. We don't forgive." Then the power came back, but the fear never left. The humans had mastered something even the council feared. Controlled fear. Not chaos. Not noise. But precision. On Mars, room lit up. A council of Earth's own generals met for the first time in 10 years. They sat in silence. Then one of them asked, "Do we begin Revenant?" Risa paused. Then she said, "No." They looked surprised. "We begin something worse." She tapped the table. A new file opened. Its name, Oblivion Sequence 5. Inside, plans not to destroy cities, but to erase entire data networks, not to kill armies, but to turn planets blind. It was not just war, it was control, and it had begun back on Earth. Civilians still cried for the lost colony. Memorials grew, songs were written, walls were painted with faces of the dead, but beneath the sadness was steel. Humanity had not broken, it had become sharper and far colder. In a hidden human lab orbiting Neptune, an old AI awoke. It had only one job, one voice command, REESA, spoke it over a secure channel. She said, "Code, judge, and fire." The AI answered, "Targets confirmed, awaiting final instruction." She waited, then whispered, "Begin sweep." No survivors. And in the distant dark of space, far from Earth, the council prison disappeared. Just gone. The council blamed asteroids, but whispers began that maybe, just maybe, humans had finally shown their real face. They thought Earth's silence was weakness, but now they knew it was calculation. Darkness floated across the edge of the galaxy. Stars blinked in silence, and through that silence, a message traveled, a pulse of raw data, encoded and encrypted. Bouncing from relay to relay, it reached its destination in 12 minutes. The Galactic Council dot in the high tower of judgment. Lights flashed red. Council technicians screamed. Unverified transmission detected. One elder shouted, "Trace it." Another barked, "Block it." But it was too late. The message forced its way onto every council screen. The lights dimmed, and a human voice spoke. It was clear, calm, and cold. "You murdered our people. On broadcast, without trial, without mercy. You made it public now. So, will we?" The voice paused, then continued. "You have one chance. 1. Release the remaining prisoners from Earth colonies. Admit your crimes to the galaxy, dismantle your death chambers, or..." The screen changed. Satellite footage appeared, council bases burning, patrol ships drifting in space, a science station torn apart with surgical precision. All already attacked, all destroyed, without a single survivor. The human voice returned. "We finish what we've started. You have 72 hours. Earth has spoken." Then the screen went black in every council. Members stared at it in silence. Not because of what was said, but because of how it was said. There was no rage, no emotion, no plea. It was a warning, and it felt final on Earth. Inside the command center beneath the Atlantic Ocean, Risa Miles watched as the council scrambled. Her officers reported in. Ma'am, 25 council systems received the message. Responses for our moving fleets to shut down communication, and one is running drills in orbit. She smirked. They're scared. Another officer stepped forward. Should we escalate? Not yet, she replied. We already did. He looked confused. She turned to the large digital screen behind her. Map of the galaxy glowed. She pointed to 5 blinking dots. Firestorm teams Alpha through Epsilon are in place. They've already begun. At the edge of council-controlled territory, a quiet moon spun alone. Its surface looked dead, cold but under the rock. A secret prison held over 300 human colonists. The council denied its existence. No trial, no law, just silence. Until tonight, a dot appeared on the radar. Then another, then 6 more. The guards were under attack. No ID on ships. They're not showing on sensors. The sky broke open. Stealth ships, black as space, pierced the atmosphere. They didn't use missiles. They used precision, targeted. Plasma beams struck guard towers. No sound, just light. Prison doors unlocked themselves. Inside, the prisoners heard a voice echo through the halls. This is Earth. Move to the extraction points. You're not forgotten. Tears ran down faces. They had lost hope, but Earth remembered them at the same time. Deep in council territory, a trade station received a coded alert then. Gravity reversed, ceilings became floors, lights exploded, doors locked, and then opened. To vent pressure, oxygen dropped. Screens flickered. Only one thing played. Surrender, or leave in pieces. And then it all stopped just as quickly, and all that was left was a medal. Card on the station's control panel, engraved with one symbol, the Earth flag. Back in the council chamber, the elders argued. They are terrorists. They have violated the peace. We should launch everything now. But others hesitated. One said they gave us a chance. Another said they didn't strike civilians, only military. And one, older and quieter, whispered, they gave us mercy. Once. But mercy had limits. The 72-hour countdown had started. In the hidden Earth command vault. Risa stood before a panel of glass. Behind it, a massive machine stood on rails. Its size matched a city block. Its name was Leviathan, born from old Earth Wartech, powered by solar fusion, guided by AI smarter than any known in the stars, built only for one thing, to make ultimatums real. A young technician asked quietly, Will they surrender? Risa answered, it doesn't matter. She tapped the glass. They've already lost. On the second day of the countdown, a council fleet surrounded one of Earth's outer relay stations near Alpha Draconis. They sent demands. Power down your systems. Let us board. Inside the small station, only 10 humans stood, outgunned. Outnumbered? One of them smiled. You want our systems? They pressed a button. The station vanished in light. Self-destructed, but not before sending one last signal to Earth. Tell them we held the line. That same day, hundreds of species across the galaxy received a transmission. Not a threat, not propaganda, but stories. Stories of the colony that was executed. Messages from survivors, files showing the truth, images of children, teachers, farmers, all. Erased by the council, now their names were being spoken again. One by one, everywhere. Humanity did made their story impossible to forget. On day 3, the galaxy was split. Some worlds closed their borders. Others reached out to Earth. In secret, one even offered weapons. Another offered soldiers. The council tried to shut it all down, but it was too late. The truth had already spread, and the fear. The fear was growing at the 71st hour. Council battleship drifted near a silent asteroid. It detected a small signal from inside, A voice, a child's voice. We trusted you. The ship paused, then exploded. From inside, Earth had hidden weapons. In the memories, even kindness had been turned into a blade. Back on Earth, the final decision came. An officer looked at Risa. Orders. She thought for 3 seconds, then nodded. Send the final signal, across the stars. At exactly the 72nd hour, Earth broadcasted again. This time, it's to all species, all systems. They showed the footage again, but from both sides. The Council's lies and Earth's truth. Then Risa appeared on screen, not in a suit, not in armor, but in black. Standing before the Earth's flag, she spoke simply. We were quiet. You mistook it for fear. We were patient. You mistook it for weakness. We're kind. You mistook it for surrender. She paused. But you made a mistake. You killed our children. You executed the innocent. You turned the galaxy against us. And still we gave you time. Her eyes were cold, her voice clear. This was your last chance? The screen turned black. Then a single word appeared. Now we act. And the stars blinked. And the sky shifted. And somewhere far in the galaxy's edge, the sun turned dark. Because Earth had fired something old. Something forgotten. Something worse than any bomb. A comet engine, guided armored, aimed directly at a Council weapons facility. They called it the Fire Ultimatum. The facility didn't stand a chance. Neither did the next one. Or the one after. And the galaxy realized something awful. This wasn't war. This was surgical. Extinction. Earth wasn't erasing the Council. It was deleting their ability to kill ever. Again, and somewhere, a Council child asked their mother, why didn't we stop them before? The mother said nothing, because there was no answer left. In a quiet corner of the galaxy, there was a planet no one visited anymore. Its name was Orion-3, long ago. It had cities' lives. Then came the Council Wars. Orion-3 became a battleground. Bombed, burned, broken. Now, it was silent, dead. The ground was dust. The sky was gray. Satellites around it had shut down long ago for most of the galaxy. It was forgotten, but not by humans, not by Earth. Because Orion-3 was once a human colony, and what the Council didn't know was that Earth had buried something there. On the 4th day after Earth's ultimatum expired, a strange signal woke from the surface of Orion-3. It was faint, but ancient, older than most active. Tech Council probes picked it up and sent alerts. A ghost transmission detected. No known source. Unable to jam. The signal kept repeating, not in words, but in a rhythm. A pulse, slow, constant. Every 11 seconds. A beat, like a heartbeat, like something. Waking up in the Council war room, the elder Braddock growled. Check. The origin. I thought Orion-3 was dead, another commander replied. It is. But the signal is real. And it's spreading. Spreading where? 2 old relay points. Forgotten beacons. Even abandoned ships. Braddock stood. He didn't like this. Humans had not mentioned Orion-3. There was no reason for it to matter, unless they wanted it. That way, in the secret Earth Command Center beneath the Pacific, Risa stood before a large, sealed room. Inside it sat a single man. He was old. White hair, quiet eyes. He had not been let out in years, because he was one of the architects of what lay beneath Orion-3. Risa opened the speaker. Dr. Van. The man raised his head slowly. You activated it, he said, voice low. Risa nodded. Is it stable? She asked. He gave a strange smile. Stable? No. But alive. Yes. She took a breath, and the broadcast. He leaned forward. It won't be words, he whispered. It will be memory. All across the galaxy, screens started turning on. Not from hacking, not from code, but from the signal itself. People looked at their devices. Their windows, their ship interfaces, and saw a dead world. Orion-3, its surface shaking, the gray skies flickering with energy. Then images began, old ones. Images from before the destruction, from when humans lived there. A child running in green fields. Two men building a home together, a classroom, with students raising their hands, scientists working in labs, farmers singing, artists painting murals, laughter, peace, hope. Then the images changed. Council ships arriving, council officers declaring martial law, weapons, planted resistance, staged, and then the bombing. The camera never cut. It showed everything. Buildings falling, people screaming, children burning, silence after the last breath, and a final frame. A young girl in a red scarf, looking directly into the camera, her voice soft. We just wanted to live. Billions watched, billions cried, and billions understood this planet was proof that the council had done this before, that the broadcasted execution of the recent colony wasn't the first, that it had happened here too, but Earth had saved it, and now Earth was showing it to everyone. The council scrambled. Shut it down. We can't. Who had these files? Who left a beacon active? No. Who recorded this? Because the footage was from within council meetings to private footage. Classified. Documents. Somebody had leaked everything, and someone had made sure Orion-3 would rise. Even in death, back on the planet, something stirred under the surface. An old base. A human-made vault, hidden under miles of debris. Its systems had stayed cold for 39 years now. They burned bright again. Inside was a machine. It didn't fly, it didn't shoot, it remembered, and it transmitted. Truth faster than anything the council could block. Every child that died, every parent that screamed, every time. The council said peacekeeping. On a luxury cruiser in neutral space. A group of council diplomats stared at the screen. None of them spoke. One finally muttered, I didn't know. ... Another whispered they were telling the truth all along. A third stood up. Where? On the wrong side, in the outer system of the Drella Confederacy, a non-human merchant race announced, we no longer recognize council authority. They opened trade routes directly with Earth. They weren't the last. One by one, smaller worlds started disconnecting from the council because of a dead planet, because of memory, because of the face of a little girl in a red scarf inside Earth's. War chamber officers cheered, but Risa did not smile. This is not a victory, she said. This is just the door opening. At that same moment, something else activated on Orion-3, a defense beacon, old, cracked, buried. It sent a different kind of signal. A call not to the council, not to civilians, but to something older, something Earth had hidden long ago. Project Obsidian. Sky, in the icy depths of the Kuiper Belt. Sensors woke up. A ship not large, not fast, but nearly invisible to all radar. Its systems came online. AI. Active mission. Protect the memory. Target. Enemies of truth. A voice inside the ship said calmly, Orion-3. Activated. Phase 2 confirmed. Scorched Echo authorized. The ship vanished into FTL, its destination, a council communications relay. The one responsible for broadcasting the original executions, inside the council tower. The elder Bradek lost his temper, shut them down. All of Earth. All human systems. His second-in-command replied, they're not using our systems, they're using relic signals. Old frequencies. Forgotten tech. Then block the planet. We did. Then destroy it. Silence. Bratek blinked. What? The officer said, Sir, Orion-3's gone. Gone. The man swallowed. It disappeared. They showed the live feed where the planet had been was now an empty space. No debris, no wreckage, just silence, as if it had never been there. The room turned cold. What did they do? The truth was this. Earth never needed to keep Orion 3 alive. They only needed it to speak once. Now that it had, they deleted it themselves. Wiped it gone, like a match thrown after lighting a fire. And in the silence, a final message. Echoed from where Orion 3 had. It's been dot. Just one sentence. Not from Rasa. Not even from Earth's leaders, but from the recording of that same girl in the red scarf. A child who had died long ago. Her voice said, "You tried to erase us. Now we erase you." Across the galaxy, people stood up. Not for Earth, but for truth. Not with weapons, but with voices. And the Council realized it had already lost the war for minds. But Earth was not finished, because Earth had waited 40 years for this, and Earth had just begun. They thought Earth was just one planet, a single blue world, floating silently in the dark. The Galactic Council had made a terrible mistake. They had believed humanity could be silenced. They had believed the ultimatum was just a threat. But Earth was never alone. And now, the rest of humanity had begun to wake up. Far beyond Earth. On Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon commander, Alex Rayner stood on a frozen platform, staring at the stars. Her breath fogged in the cold air, but her heart burned like fire. For weeks, it received only silence from Earth. No orders. No updates. No transmissions. But now the signal had arrived. It was brief just for words. Operation Titanfall, begin now. She turned toward her officers. You heard it? We're no longer in hiding. Light up the sky. Moments later, silent ice moon exploded with life. Hidden cannons emerged from craters. Warships rose from underground hangars. Drones flew in every direction, ready to scan, strike, and spread the word. On Titan, Saturn's orange-hued moon, the mining city of Nova 13 had gone dark. Its people lived under thick domes, surrounded by poisonous atmosphere. Most of them were miners, engineers, or workers, forgotten by the Council. It's ignored by even Earth. But when the Council broadcasted the executions, everyone on Titan had watched. Children screamed. Mothers cried. Workers smashed screens. One of the executed was born on Titan. His name was Zane Caro, and he had been the first from Nova 13 to be chosen as a diplomat. When the Council killed him, they didn't just kill a man, they declared war on his home. Now, under the light of Saturn's rings, hundreds of Titan-born humans gathered in silence. At the center, a massive old mining drill began to transform. Panels opened. Cables snaked outward inside. Deep reactors began to hum. Titan's secret was revealed, beneath the dust and rock. They had built a hidden warship, the Hammer of Dawn. It had no crew quarters. It had no comfort. It was a flying weapon. One built with only one purpose: to strike. All across the solar system. Colonies awakened. On Callisto, Europa, and even the barren shell of Pluto. Old bunkers sent encrypted signals. They all responded to one place, Luna Prime. Earth's moon. Their general, Iona Voss, stood in the central command hub of the underground facility known as the Deep Core. Screens showed data flooding in from all human colonies. Yes, she said softly. They're all online. A young officer beside her swallowed hard. Ma, Am, are we really going to war? Instead, she pressed her hand to a glowing panel. A quiet voice echoed through the chamber. Luna Command. Recognizes Earth's authority. Stand by for synchronization. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council watched with unease. They had expected rebellion from Earth, not from everywhere else. Their analysts had not calculated for this. Humans were supposed to be fractured, disconnected, weak. But every day, more colonies came online. Ships appeared from asteroid fields, stealth stations. Transmitted from deep space, the Council tried to block their signals, but the humans used quantum entanglement instant. Untraceable Council agents attempted sabotage. Mars. One agent planted a virus inside a power station, but it failed, eh? Martian engineer had noticed something odd, a flicker in the core temperature. She acted without orders. Shut down the reactor. found the virus, removed it. When asked why she had disobeyed standard protocol, she said one thing: because I'm human, and we fix things before they break. The council grew nervous. One of the members, High Lord, tells her, of the Croc's Empire, shouted in the chambers. This was supposed to be a warning, not a war, another delegate replied. You should not have executed their people. Not live. Not like that, tells her hissed. They were spreading rebellion. They needed an example. A third delegate, one of the reptilian UNIQUE, whispered, and now you have your example. Look at them. Earth was never alone. Suddenly, the council chamber lights dimmed. An emergency signal overrode their network. It wasn't human-made. It came from one of their own border outposts, a terrified alien. Officer appeared on screen, blood on his face. They're everywhere, he screamed, not just Earth. They came from moons, from shadows, from asteroids. We didn't see them, they were never alone. The signal cut out. A new one took its place, a human face. Calm, cold, familiar. General Iona. Us. She looked directly into the camera. This is not an invasion, she said softly. This is not revenge. This is correction. In the dark edges of the galaxy, Earth's old allies began to listen. Some had once traded with humans. Some had betrayed them when the council grew strong. Now, they reconsidered. Was it too late to choose Earth's side? On the planet Dromar, once home to a peaceful civilization that had fallen under council rule, rebels replayed the execution broadcast. They remembered the screaming child, the laughing council guards. And now, they saw something new. They saw humans. Rising, one of the rebels looked up from the screen and whispered, "We rise with Earth." Farther still, aboard the human stealth carrier Wraith, Captain Elias Kern sat in a dim control room. He was old, scarred, a veteran of the Martian riots. He had never believed in Earth's unity. But now, watching the Council's crimes and seeing the colonies move, he felt something deep in his chest. Pride. "Bring us out of Cloak," he said. "Time to show them what Mars remembers." The ship shimmered into existence near a council. Border Patrol. The alien ship scrambled in confusion. Then, Wraith opened fire. It wasn't a battle. It was a message. The Galactic Council now knew one thing for certain. Humanity was not a planet. It was a species. A network. A force built in silence, anger, and loyalty. They had tried to cut off the head, but they never realized. The body had 1,000 arms, and they were all reaching for justice, and the stars had nowhere left to hide. The executioners thought the message was clear. They thought the galaxy would tremble, that no one would dare rise again. But they forgot one simple truth. Humans do not forget, and they never, ever forgive. In the black silence of deep space, near the edge of Galactic Council territory, the warship Eclipse drifted like a ghost. No engine hum, no power signature. It was dead on sensors. But inside, it was alive with purpose. Captain Ren Vox stood before his strike team 12 elite soldiers. Trained in zero gravity. Boarding. Each one wore dark armor. No ensigns, just the red stripe across their chest line that meant, "We saw." The broadcast. "We won't wait for justice. We'll take it." The mission was simple. The Council had sent a mobile prison station K-12 Omega-2 orbit above the neutral world of Tarsize there. They were executing anyone accused of human sympathy. Teachers, scientists, even children. Every broadcast was a warning. But it was more than that. It was theater. The Council wanted to show domination, so they built stages, broadcast towers, and drone cameras. They executed prisoners live, sometimes. Slowly, sometimes with laughter. And today, they prepared another show. But this one would be different. Because Eclipse had already arrived. Inside the council station, Warden Drovik, a six-eyed scalery brute, stood in front of a terrified crowd of alien prisoners. He raised his voice. "Today, we execute traitors, those who dared speak in defense of the humans." His voice echoed through the cold metal corridors. Cameras floated around him, capturing every word. A young alien girl cried as her mother was dragged away. The guards laughed. They raised their shock spears. The girl screamed. Exploded. Not from outside, but from inside. 12. Figures stepped out of the smoke, silent.com. Deadly Ren Vox raised his weapon. You chose the wrong prisoners. The guards panicked. They fired. But the Eclipse team moved like shadows fast, coordinated, without hesitation. Within seconds, half the guards were down. Warden Drovic tried to activate the emergency lockdown. But his control panels shorted out, hacked by Earth. The executions had ended now. The judgment had begun, in the chaos. The human team secured every prisoner. They didn't just save them, they armed them, even the weak, the injured. The young, they were given a chance. A chance. To fight back, the Eclipse soldiers didn't speak of mercy. They spoke of resolve. You don't have to be a soldier, Ren said to a frightened father holding a weapon for the first time, but you do have to stand, because no one is coming to save us. We save each other now. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. The Council's other execution platforms went dark. One by one, destroyed, hijacked, liberated, on planet Zenthos 4. The executioners found their broadcast towers surrounded by former slaves. Each carried a homemade weapon. Each had watched the human broadcast of defiance. They had seen Earth's ultimatum. They believed. And when the guards opened fire, the crowd didn't run. They advanced. Some died. Most survived. All remembered. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Central Human Command watched the reports come in, one after another. Stars on their map turned green. It wasn't just about territory. It was about hearts. Worlds that once feared Earth now whispered its name with hope. General Ayana Voss stood before her war council. Her voice was calm. We didn't start this war, she said, but we will finish it. She pointed to the updated data feeds. The Council's execution fleet is thinning. Their justice is collapsing. It's time we remind them. She paused, then said what everyone in the room was thinking. We are not a race to be shown off. We are the final line they cross. On the Council homeworld of Girak Prime, panic began to spread. Admirals shouted. Judges argued. Spies disappeared. News feeds once filled with human executions were now empty, or, worse for them, showing rebels freeing prisoners. Every image, every video was a spark, and sparks were turning into wildfire. One council minister shouted, "Why are they still fighting? Our planet was weak." But someone else, an old advisor, spoke quietly. "You don't understand humans," she said. "They don't fight for survival. They fight for meaning. And when you take their people, their homes, their future," she looked up, "it becomes something you can't calculate." Deep in space, the Eclipse team had completed its mission. But Ren Vox wasn't done. He stared into the last remaining camera drone, one that still broadcasted. 2 council systems. He removed his helmet, revealing his scarred face. "I want you to listen carefully," he said. "You think executions make us kneel? They don't. You think pain stops us? It doesn't. You think we're angry because of what you did to us?" He leaned forward, voice cold as space. "No, we're angry, because you thought you could." He raised his weapon. The camera cut to static. The message spread faster than any council law, from outposts to colonies. Every species watched, and they finally understood. These were not mindless Earthlings. These were not broken survivors. These were humans, and they had remembered who they were by the end of the week. 5 council death squads had been ambushed. 8 execution ships were destroyed. Mid-dash broadcast, and 26 new rebel worlds had risen. The executioners had become the hunted, and the Earth's flame was spreading, not in anger, in purpose. Because this time, humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for everyone who had once believed peace was possible, but peace had been shattered. Now only fire remained, and the fire spoke. One, name humanity. The sky above Jamer burned. Red dot, not because of the setting sun, not because of the planet's twin moons rising, but because orbit had turned into fire, and every living thing below was watching it fall. Huge pieces of metal glowing from heat rained down like comets. What once was a proud council war station now broke apart in the atmosphere. It screamed, it cracked, and then it died. On fire, children clutched their mothers. Old ones whispered forgotten prayers, but no one looked away. They all saw. The mark carved into the wreckage, 2 lines, one vertical, one across the center, a symbol not of a faction, not of a government, but of a species, human ZHA. Single quotes, more had been a place of silence for years. Obeyed council orders, watched the executions, never. Resisted, until now, because something had changed. A whisper turned into a spark. A spark turned into courage, and courage, when lit with human fire, became unstoppable 10 hours earlier. Council High Commander Varric stood aboard the orbital platform above Xi. More, he was confident. He had every reason to be. The Council fleet still had numbers, still had weapons, still had control over most systems. And now? They were using Chimeras moons to host live executions of rebel sympathizers. 6 prisoners were on their knees, heads bowed. A wide-lens drone floated overhead. Varric smiled into the camera. Let all who watch this remember human allies meet the same fate. He raised his blade. The first prisoner trembled, but before it fell, before the scream, before the kata, human voice came over every channel. Transmission override initiated. Council frequencies breached. The voice was smooth, calm, not loud, but it stopped everything. Even Varric's hand, even the guards, the prisoners looked up. Across every screen, in every council-controlled world, a single image appeared. A black flag, a red line through it. Underneath, words in human script, translated into hundreds of tongues. You have taken enough. We take it back. Suddenly, the orbital platform shook. A boom echoed. The second strike hit the main reactor, then a third straight through the command tower. The entire station lurched. Losing orbit, fire bloomed across its side. Humans weren't even seen. Only their fury was felt. Back on the planet, the people of Jamer rose, shaking, but they rose. They had watched for years as others died. As humans screamed while being dragged, as children from Earth colonies were executed without trial. But now, the executioners were the ones falling, and the people were the ones watching, in the Eastern District. A young engineer named Kita rewired the city's main communication relay. She had stayed silent when her father was taken. She had lowered her eyes when council soldiers walked past, but now she climbed to the rooftop, looked straight into a civilian broadcast drone, said, "They thought we'd forget the children they burned." She raised her fist. We didn't. And across the city, more fists rose. Meanwhile, on the human warship Black Veil, orbiting far above, Captain Mirek watched the results. He didn't smile. He didn't speak much, but his hand tightened into a fist as the council station broke apart. Beside him, Intelligence Officer Daya whispered, "Another world joins us." He nodded once. "That's 23 this week." Then he looked into the stars. "How many more must burn before the council listens?" Daya answered without hesitation, "All of them." In the following days, council-controlled systems began to fracture. Planetary governors went silent. Execution. Teams disappeared. Fuel convoys stopped. Even council spies began to defect, fearing what humans might do if they were caught. They had seen the footage of the eclipse. Team Dot of liberated stations, of burning council banners falling onto screaming officers. The fear that the council once used now belonged to Earth. On Krylos 7, a mining colony ruled by brutal overseers, workers found a strange crate buried outside the main site. Inside, weapons, food, instructions, and a note, printed in 100 dialects. Simple words: "You are not alone." That night, the slaves rebelled. They didn't all survive, but they didn't all need to. The message was enough. The fight had started, and the galaxy was watching. In hidden chambers of the Galactic Council, fear turned to rage. We should have crushed them when their homeworld was weak. One admiral screamed, another argued, we did crush them. They were broken, a quiet voice cut through. No, said Grand Strategist Relia, we hurt them. We didn't kill their spirit, and now they've become something else. What? A general asked. She stared at a glowing hologram. Of Earth's rebel fleet, dozens of stolen ships, civilian vessels converted to war. Her voice dropped lower. They've become fire. Reports flooded in council. Ships found hacked, execution records erased, entire prison convoys missing, and everywhere that. Symbol, the red mark, drawn on walls, ships, skies, some rebels. Even painted it across moons using mining lasers, so the system could see humanity was here in the deepest part of council space in a planet called Tertial. A hidden resistance cell finally moved. They had waited, afraid, unsure, but a child ran into their base holding. Broken communicator. We got a signal, he said. From Earth? What did it say? One rebel asked. The child smiled. It said ... keep standing. Help is already moving. The fire of rebellion spread not because Earth controlled it, not because they gave orders, but because they lit the first match, and others enslaved, silenced and shattered, remembered their own strength. Each world that rose didn't just chant Earth's name. They shouted their own, but the galaxy knew who gave them that. Fire, and so the story changed. Where once the broadcast showed human suffering, now it showed council ships falling. Where once executioners stood tall, now they ran. Where once the galaxy thought humans were finished, now they whispered. They are still here, they are coming, and they remember. Part 7 ends with a message blinking across thousands of worlds. We are not your slaves, we are not your silence. We are Earth, and we will not stop. It was never about revenge. Not at first. It was about survival, then truth, then justice. But when the galaxy kept ignoring those things, when screams echoed into silence, when executions became entertainment, and when the innocent were buried, with no names, that's when humanity chose war. The stars above the Velar system, the heart of the galactic council turned black, not from night, but from ships. Thousands of them, old, new, stolen, built from scrap floating together like a storm. At the center flew the warship, Adolan Earth's ghost vessel, black as shadow, its engines silent. Its weapons live. Captain Mirek stood on the bridge, staring at the enemy's capital planet Vela. It was beautiful green oceans, white towers, blue skies. It had never known war until now. On the surface, Council Supreme Leader Trezek panicked. This is impossible, he barked. Where did they get this fleet? No one answered. He turned to the intelligence minister. They don't have the numbers? The minister replied in a hollow voice. It's not just humans anymore. What do you mean? The screen behind him flickered. Cameras from across the system showed the truth. Ships from once enslaved worlds, rebel fighters painted with Earth's symbol, AI drones carrying human code, even council defectors. Flying alongside Earth's fleet. It wasn't just a war, it was a reckoning. 30 minutes before impact, Earth's fleet opened all channels. Captain Mirek spoke calmly. This is your final hour. Not because we hate you, but because you've built your empire on broken bones, on silence, on lies. He looked toward the planet. You broadcast our deaths across the stars, and we remembered. Then he said the words that would echo for centuries. Now, the galaxy will remember something else. What happens when the forgotten rise? The first strike didn't come from orbit. It came from inside. Valerian's lower districts exploded in rebellion. Slaves took up hidden weapons. Mines detonated under council towers. And from the East Sea, a massive rebel submarine surface painted, with a red line through a black flag inside. A human engineer named Kira shouted into a mic, "This is for the colonies you erased." Missiles fired, towers fell, council commands scrambled. They didn't know who to fight first. Above, Earth's fleet waited. Let the people speak. Let the ground rise. And when the council finally tried to escape, that's when the sky came down. The human warship Wraithstorm led the descent. It moved like a blade, cutting through council defenses. Behind it flew salvaged vessels from 10 rebel systems each, one flying low and fast. Weapons hot, council orbital defenses activated. Too late. The Eidolon shut them down with a single virus pulse. Missiles rained, laser. Fire filled the heavens, but Earth's ships didn't stop, because pain had taught them something powerful. You don't need perfection to win. You need purpose. Inside the council citadel, panic turned to begging. Trezek tried to open peace talks. Send the humans our terms. No one answered. Promise them safety. Still nothing. At last he screamed, "Tell them we surrender." New voice answered, deep and cold. "We don't want your surrender. We want your silence, forever." Then the wall behind him shattered, and Earth's fire entered. Ground teams hit the capital with precision. They didn't kill civilians. They didn't bomb schools or hospitals. They remembered Earth's own pain, but they found every last commander, every executioner, every torturer, and they faced them, just like Earth's victims once faced the firing squads. In the main square, watched by billions through live streams, Captain Mirek stood before the fallen. Council leaders, he didn't raise a gun, he raised a memory, a holomage of children executed by the council, a mother screaming for her daughter, a burning refugee ship, and then he said, "Your kind showed no mercy when we were weak. We won't be like you, but we will end you." And he pressed the button behind him. A massive tower, the execution broadcast spire, exploded into fire, just like the lives it once erased, across the galaxy. People wept, not from fear, from hope. Slaves in chains dropped them. Hidden rebels came. Into the light, even those who had given up felt something rise again inside them. A voice, a word, a promise. Earth stood, and now so can we. In the weeks that followed, Earth didn't claim territory. They didn't enslave. They rebuilt. They gave rebel worlds tools, medicine, shelter. They helped people learn again what freedom tasted like, human diplomats said. Something no one expected. We do not want your planets. We only want this. Never again. The Council, gone, its armies. Disbanded its systems. Freed Valara Ion became a memory, a warning. And in its place, a new alliance rose. Not ruled by fear, but by those who remembered pain and chose peace. Led not by Earth, but inspired by it. Years later, when children asked how the galaxy changed, elders would whisper, they broadcast Earth's execution. But Earth broadcast something louder. What? The truth. At every spaceport, you could still find the symbol. 2 red lines, burned into walls, printed on flags, drawn by children. And beneath it, 3 words. We remember Earth. That's the end of the story. The story of a species the galaxy tried to erase. But they didn't vanish. They endured. They burned. They rose. And when the time came, the stars themselves bent to their will. This time, the galaxy knelt.